Hey guys, um, I'm gonna be very honest with you tonight. My heart is a little bit heavy because I have been having some side conversations with one of our wanderers, and just I'm asking those of you that are in the group that pray to please pray and cover each other. Um, When I posted about this group to begin with, I said that I'd drug my feet for a long time on starting something like this. And the reason why I did this is because I have this need for approval. And it is ingrained in me that I struggle with putting myself out there because I know that this is a weakness of mine, that I want to be approved of. I want to be held in high esteem by my peers. It's important to me to perform well at the things that I do, and it gets in my head and it messes with me, and so it's easier for me to shy away from things that put me in front of people because I know that my head then goes to a place of wanting to see what the responses are and needing approvals and thumbs up and hearts and all that kind of stuff. But something changed the week that I posted about this group, and that is that I was having this conversation in my head about, God, I don't want to put this out there because what if people don't respond? What if they do respond? How am I going to handle the various things that could come of it? And there's a lot of fear of rejection. There's a lot of fear of people not taking me seriously, and this is something I'm extremely passionate about. And then there's a lot of fear of, what if people like it and they like it a lot and I'm getting a lot of approval, which I seek, and it feeds this like little monster inside of me, right? So I'm just doing a dance in my head. And in the midst of this conversation, a thought came into my head that was not my own, which usually to me means that it's God, especially when it feels so clear and so right on exactly what I needed to hear. And so in this particular instance, that thought was, is it enough if I see what you do? Can it be enough that I know that your heart is genuine in this mission of putting out this information? And can it be enough that if no one responds, that I see it? And that really changed my perspective, and that's why this group has come to be. And since then, I feel this incredible peace about the group, about whether or not people are participating or not. Really, I want that. Of course, I want that because I'm compelled to share this for a reason. But I don't want to need the responses to know that it's active in order to stay on fire and be excited about it. Which is why I'm so committed to making sure that these videos happen, and these videos happen wholeheartedly and genuinely, and not just checking the box, oh, I got to go do a video real quick and I'll be right back sort of thing. I genuinely spend time thinking through the things that I'm sending out there, and I'm genuinely hoping and praying that they matter to you because they matter to me. I don't need affirmation on that. Because again, even if nobody is using or seeing or benefiting from it, um, I feel at peace knowing that it's out there and it's seen by the one I'm truly doing it for. Okay, that being said, I'm committed to doing these coffee groups on Saturday mornings. So often when I have conversations, and you can go back and look at the original post that I made, people are craving connection that is not through Facebook and not through our phones. We are craving face-to-face time where we put our phones down and we buy each other a cup of coffee and we sit and we just talk. There's not a prerequisite that you're doing the studies on these questions. There's no prerequisite that you bring your Bible and we sit and we open it up and we go line by line over anything. The purpose of the coffee groups, both here in Michigan and in Washington, genuinely are to give us an opportunity to connect, because many of us are diving into these things and we're finding exciting having those epiphany moments, and we want to share that with each other. So I would encourage you, if you have the time and space in your schedule one of these weeks, to join me here in Michigan on Saturday mornings from 9:30 to 11, or Kayla in Washington in the Parkland area at a coffee shop from 9:30 to 11 to connect, because connection is so important. And I want you to individually be able to dive into the word and find what you need, but being able to share it with a community is where things really get real, and you can really build off of it and have accountability to each other. Couple of epiphanies that came out this week. We had Leah posted on the interpret string thread some really great information about when we are battling these voices that are in our heads, when we're looking to the world and who the world has told us that we are. Sometimes we think that we've battled something off, and then those thoughts come back and start beating on us again. And this really great thing that Leah posted said that if you're in the battlefield, the arrows don't stop flying at you just because you manage to fight some of them off. It is a constant thing, but important, and the key that Leah's post made, which I thought was great, is that you don't feel guilt and shame in the midst of it, because that's just adding to the problem, right? It just makes it worse. It just then tells you you're all these other things, that you're weak or you're, I don't know, whatever. And so it starts to manipulate you in that way. Just know that in your journey, it is tough. There is tension, but that tension is where you're loving yourself. You're being honest with yourself, but you're also extending yourself grace. And if you had a relationship with somebody that you really loved and you saw them in a pattern or cycle where someone's bullying them or picking on them, wouldn't you step up and say something, even if it was mildly uncomfortable? Wouldn't you approach them in kindness, with love, but fight for the best for them? Well, that's what we're talking about doing when we have lies in our heads that have been planted or ingrained in us, is stepping up and fighting for yourself, and having and giving yourself an opportunity, by being in the Word, by being closer in your relationship with God, to hear the true voice, the truest voice you'll ever have exposure to tell you who you are. Because then when arrows fly at you, it's like you've got your shield and nothing's going to penetrate that shield, because you know who you are. So if you're still studying on this, still struggling and getting in there, you're still tackling these lies in your head, I just want to encourage you, when it happens that they pop back up, don't allow guilt and shame to take over. Just shove that back across the table and tell yourself, I'm fighting for myself, and it's going to be hard and it's going to be tense. But in that tension is where I'm loving myself at the same time, and I'm allowing God to love me through this process, and letting Him show me who I am. The other snippet piece from another wanderer's epiphany that really I feel deeply is this idea of, again, reflecting our family life, our biological parents, our adoptive parents, our foster parents, and the relationship we have with them, and reflecting that back on God as though God is the same. So the things like I talked about earlier this week, if you have an abusive or absent, or a parent who, through their own flaws, again, having grace for that, didn't love you well, then you may not believe that God can love you well. That may be very hard for you. And so you're trying to start separating God from the relationships that you've had. If it was a spouse, or it was, a friendship that you lost, or if it's a problem you're having in a relationship with your children right now, or, those earthly relationships unfortunately become what we base our relationship on God or where we start to think that God takes on those attributes. And so I just want to encourage you and the other wanderers that are kind of feeling stuck in that this is just the beginning. You're just starting to ask these questions about how does God see you? And it is a long journey to finding that. And I would encourage you in your prayer time, when you're inviting God into that conversation, God, show me who I am. Show me who I am through the words of others. Show me through music. Show me through journaling. Show me through visions. Show me through dreams. Show me, God, who you are, who you say that I am. Because I just there's no other way that is more fulfilling um, than than giving God the opportunity. He created you. He created you for something. And maybe you feel lost or hopeless because you don't know what that is. But maybe you're relying on human beings to tell you. And that's just it's just flawed. It's just flawed thinking. Humans are meant to be our community and accessories in our life, so to speak. But God is the deal. He's the skin. He's um, he's it. So I hope that you are well this weekend and that you'll stick with us as we move on to our next question on Monday. And for those of you that are hurting this week over this question, my heart is heavy and I'm praying for you, and I'm begging you to please find an accountability partner to walk this with. Don't walk it alone, because you're not alone. And we want to lift your arms and hold them up for you. When you are too tired to pray for yourself or open the word for yourself, let us do it for you. I'm here personally to do that for you too. And please come to the coffee next week if you're in the areas that have them, because that is community is a huge piece of this. Don't fall away. Keep trying. You guys are amazing. Thank you for walking this with me. And I will be back on Monday with our next snippet question. Have a good weekend.